Hi everyone, my name's Jordan and welcome back to my channel. Today I wanted to do a sci-fi TBR. I have talked about a lot on this channel that I am very new to sci-fi, but I'm very much so loving everything I'm reading. I love space. I love space-related sci-fi. I haven't really ventured too far into like AI sci-fi or like genome manipulation sci-fi. I'm less interested in that stuff. I just really love space science. I love astrophysics and cosmology and astronomy and all of those. So I'm loving getting into these space operas, these hard sci-fi, and some also not so hard sci-fi. I also really enjoy stories that just happen to be set in space. So I've done a best sci-fi I've read so far video, which I will link above. But today I wanted to talk about some of the sci-fi that are on my list that I hope to be reading soon. I don't have a deadline for any of this. I'm just hoping to get to it in the next couple years. First up, I want to finish the Sun Eater series. This is the second book, Howling Dark by Christopher Ruocchio. The first one is The Empire of Silence, which I recently did a review of, and I will link above. I just finished Howling Dark earlier this week, and it is one of the best books I've read this year. It goes off the rails. I'm doing a read-along over on the Grimoire Discord. Tall Guy Reads, RJ Reads, Rekindled Reader, and Your Brain on Books are the hosts of the read-along. Technically, it is all their Discords. I'm loving it, and I can't believe I have to wait until next month to read the next one. I mean, I guess I technically don't, but I like reading along with everyone. I will say, I didn't super read along with anyone because I started this like 2 days early and then flew through it. So some people are like just now starting it, and I've already finished it. So it kind of took that part of it away from me. I couldn't really talk too much about it, but Christopher Ruocchio is on the Grimoire Discord, so more reason to join that Discord. He was laughing at me basically as I was experiencing all of the heartache and pain and heart palpitations that were happening as I read this. But anyway, rambling about that, I'm so excited to finish this series. It is an epic space story. It starts out with Hadrian, the main character. Also, my friends pointed out I've been saying his name wrong for multiple videos. It's Hadrian, not Hadrian. Anyway, so Hadrian starts out the story in the present saying that he is the one that ate a sun and destroyed an entire alien species, as well as killing billions of humans. And this is his story. So it's kind of set up similar to like The Name of the Wind in that way, where it's like present day person telling their story. And going into a story knowing how it's going to end and then seeing where it starts, it's just like kind of beautiful in the way that you're like trying to piece together what is going to make him do what he ends up doing, you know? And I feel like in Howling Dark, we really get a lot of that. So this series is incredible. Check out my review of Empire of Silence if you want a little more information about what it's about and what I thought of Empire of Silence. It's definitely a setup book, so if you find it a little slow, it is. Keep going, because Howling Dark is the opposite. So very good series so far. I am dying to finish it. Next up is one that I'm a little less, it's less of a priority for me right now, but I am still interested in finishing it, and that is The Expanse by James S.A. Corey. This is a huge series. It's like, I don't know, like 12 books or something. Or maybe it's like 8 books. I don't remember. It's really big, and all the books are large. The first one is Leviathan Wakes, and I've read Leviathan Wakes and didn't love it, but didn't hate it. There were certain aspects of the story that I was really enjoying. I just really did not enjoy Miller's point of view. I thought he was just annoying. I'm never really big on like the detective cop point of view, so didn't love his point of view, but I really enjoyed the space crew and the like parasite storyline and stuff, and I think that's going to be the focus in later books. So I want to pick this back up and try again, try the second book, see if I like it more than Leviathan Wakes. I have high hopes. If it ends up being more of like a detective book in space, I probably won't finish it because that's not really my cup of tea. So we'll see. I want to keep going. So it's on my TBR. I do not know if I will finish the series. Next up, I've got a bit of a classic, and that is Hyperion by Dan Simmons. This is a series that is very much so well loved in the sci-fi community. It is a very popular sci-fi series. And from the synopsis, what I can tell is there is this like, what I think is like basically a big alien, and then there's people that are trying to save the human race, and so they have to go see this big alien or something. I could have 1000% misunderstood the synopsis. I like going into books not knowing a whole lot about them. So, however, this is a huge classic. I think there's like 3 or 4 books in the series. I'm not 100% sure, but I think that I will probably like this. I don't know. I have a hard time sometimes with like older sci-fi and older fantasy. Sometimes it really hits. They're classics for a reason. And sometimes they just deal with some stuff that I don't really like seeing. So we will see if I like it. I'm going to try it soon. I have high hopes. Everyone loves it, so I'm hoping I do as well. Next up, another classic. I want to try to read Dune by Frank Herbert. When the movie was coming out, I tried to listen to the audiobook, and it just wasn't doing it for me. It is very political. There's a lot of like political maneuvering and things, and I could not get into the audiobook, but I'm gonna try to read a physical copy and just see if I like it. It's compared a lot to The Empire of Silence by Christopher Accio, so I'm wondering if I will like it. We'll see, because I from what I remember of the little bit I read, there was again like an heir to some sort of political leadership, and he has to like go and do some sort of like ambassador work or maybe war. I don't totally remember. I probably got all of that wrong, but I think that I might like it. Again, with classics, I'm like, it's hit or miss for me sometimes, but I have high hopes. I think this is very space opera, very political, very expansive, so I might like it. We'll see. I'm going to try it again, reading it physically, and see if I like it. Next up, I have The Darkness Outside Us by Elliot Schreffer. This was recommended to me on my best sci-fi read so far video. Somebody commented and said I should read this. It looks very YA romance on the cover, but a lot of the reviews say they wish it hadn't been marketed that way because that's not really how it reads. Like, there is a romance, and I think the characters are a little younger, but supposedly it's a very political, very high stakes, very fast-paced sci-fi book that has a romance in it, but it was marketed as a very romance-heavy book for reader purposes, I guess. So I have high hopes for it. I do really enjoy romance in books, and it also sounds like it's kind of like an enemies to lovers thing, but I also really like sci-fi, so if I can get a little bit of that in there, I think I'll like it. I'm wondering if it's similar to Winter's Orbit, which is another like sci-fi romance I've read that I really enjoyed. That one was very political. The romance was like one of the main points of the book, but it was very subtle and very well done. So I'm hoping that this is similar, and I'm hoping that I like it. Next up, I have This Is How You Lose the Timeworn by Amal El Motar. This is talked about all the time, especially on like Bookstagram. I tried listening to the audiobook and couldn't get into it. I'm wondering if sci-fi audiobooks just maybe aren't for me. There are definitely some exceptions. I listened to Sleep in a Sea of Stars by Christopher Paolini and loved it. So there are some exceptions, but I found that some of these I just don't really love the audiobooks as much. But this is like a novella, I believe. There's time travel. There is a sapphic romance. A bunch of stuff that I like. Time travel can be kind of hit or miss for me, but from what I remember, it was kind of doing it in a way that I would like. So I really want to get to this. I really am trying to read more novellas. I've always kind of avoided them because I find that sometimes I can't really connect to the characters and I can't really connect to the story in such a short format. But I want to try to see if I can find some exceptions to that. So I'm excited to try this one again, reading it physically, and see if I like it. Next, I have one that I'm actually very excited for after reading the synopsis, and that is To Be Taught If Fortunate by Becky Chambers. This is another novella, and the premise sounds so cool. So so much sci-fi revolves around terraforming other planets to be habitable to humans. But in this story, humans have done the opposite. They make the humans able to live on these other planets. So they terraform humans. So what happens is this ship full of humans, they all get put into like a cryogenic slumber or whatever, and they travel to a different planet. And during that travel, while they're in this cryogenic slumber, their bodies are being manipulated and changed to be able to survive on this next planet. So they're basically colonizing these planets by changing themselves and making themselves able to survive on that planet. But every time they travel to a new planet and they come out of their slumber, Earth is different. Whether it be they aren't caring about space travel as much, or there's been some sort of hostile takeover, or their home country is not in existence anymore. So basically every time they wake up, Earth is different in some way, and they are also different, but they have the same mind. So I'm very excited. That sounds so cool. It sounds like such an interesting, unique premise, and it's also a novella, so it's something I feel like I could kick out really quick. So I'm very excited for that. It sounds so cool. Next up, I have The Three-Body Problem by Cixin Liu. This is a translated story. It's actually translated by Qin Liu, who wrote The Dandelion Dynasty, which I'm hoping to start soon. This is a epic space story, and that's really all I know about it. I've been seeing people rave about it all the time. I know that RJ over on RJ Reads read it recently. Alex on Tall Guy Reads read it recently, and everyone is loving it. So I've heard that this book is a little slower, a little bit more of a setup, but then that the next two books really expand the story and really do a lot. It's like super hard sci-fi. So I love that. I love space science, so I think I'm going to like this a lot. We'll see. I don't read a whole lot of translated works just because I don't typically go like out looking for them, but I feel like I should more. So I'm excited to read this, excited to read another hard sci-fi. I have been really enjoying hard sci-fi, and I think I'll like it. We'll see. It's a trilogy, and this one's not too big. The other two are not super big either. I mean, I think the third one's a little chunky, but I think I can read it pretty quick. I love the floppy paperback. The cover or the spines all have different colors. They're pretty. So yeah, I don't know. I hope I like them. Last up, I have Shards of Honor by Lois McMaster Bujold? I have no idea. Sorry if I'm mispronouncing that. This is another classic, I believe. This was recommended to me by a family friend, and there are like 15 books in this series. So I'm not committing to the whole series without reading the first couple. It sounds pretty cool. It sounds like it's like a really long story. Obviously it's 15 books, but I mean like time-wise, it covers a really large amount of time. I think it deals a lot with themes of like parenting and space and aliens. That's really all I got. I'm trying to broaden my sci-fi horizons and try to read some classics, some more modern stuff. So I'm gonna try this, see if I like it. It might be too classic for me. I'm just not really into a lot of older stories because they aren't as relatable, and also because they sometimes have more problematic themes in them sometimes. So we'll see. I'm excited to try it at least. Anyway, that is just a little bite of some of these sci-fi books I'm hoping to get to in the next couple years. I am really loving my sci-fi journey so far. I really enjoy reading sci-fi. I love space. I say it all the time. Space is so cool, so daunting, so scary. So I just like reading about it. I'm excited to get to these. Sci-fi is very new to me, but I am loving it. It is a genre I've always thought I would not like, just based off preconceived notions, and I love it so far. I'm very excited to get to all these. I hope I can get to them in the nearest future. Some of these obviously are higher priority than others, but I'm very excited for them. Well, that is the end of my video. Thank you guys for watching. If you liked this video, please like, comment, and subscribe. All three of those things really help grow a channel. Let me know down below if there are some other sci-fi stories I should try. Love space-based sci-fi. So if you have some really great space-based sci-fi that you would like to recommend, please do, and I will add it to my list. I'm always looking for more recommendations. If you really like my content, please hit the notification bell to be notified every time I post a new video. As always, your support means the world to me. Thank you guys for watching, and until next time.